Welcome to Faith is the Podcast. You know, when we think about Jesus' gift of salvation, it's really this profound liberation, isn't it? Breaking free.
Absolutely. It's freedom.
And in life, well, we all run into things that feel like chains, things holding us back.
For sure. Obstacles, challenges.
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into one perspective on a really big obstacle for many: poverty.
That's right. We're going to explore the ideas of Apostle Joshua Selman. He has this teaching where he talks about poverty not just being about, lacking stuff.
Right, not just material things.
No. He suggests it's got three facets: a spiritual dimension, a certain mindset, and then the results of our actions.
Okay, three parts: spirit, mindset, actions.
Yeah. And our goal today is really just to unpack that framework, understand this viewpoint, and maybe see how it resonates.
Sounds good. So let's start with that first one. Poverty is a spirit. That might sound a bit out there for some folks. What does that actually mean in this context?
Well, the idea presented is that it's a kind of negative influence, almost like a force that actively pushes against abundance. It tries to deplete your resources.
Okay, so like something working against you financially.
Exactly. The source describes it as this spirit of poverty whose whole assignment is basically to create occurrences, situations that stop you from getting ahead or just drain away whatever money you do have.
Huh. So it's not just chalked up to bad luck then?
According to this teaching, no. It suggests something more deliberate. Think about the example given from Luke's gospel, the woman with the issue of blood.
Right, I remember that story. She suffered for years.
12 years. And the key point made is that she spent everything she had on doctors, but got no better. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't passive.
She was actively trying to solve the problem.
Actively crying, yes. But her resources just kept getting drained. So that's presented as one way this spirit might operate, constantly depleting finances despite your best efforts.
Wow. It paints a picture of being stuck, like running on a treadmill. You put in the effort, but something keeps pulling you financially backward.
Mm-hmm.
The source also mentions things like mysterious accidents or even robbery. How do those fit?
Well, they're presented as other potential manifestations, events that might seem random, but within this framework, they serve the purpose of causing financial loss.
Okay.
Take the story of the Good Samaritan. This guy's just traveling, minding his own business.
And he gets jumped.
Yeah, he fell among thieves. And notice, they didn't just beat him up, they stripped him of everything. They left him half dead, needing care, which costs money.
Oh, so the financial depletion was a core part of it, not just a side effect of the violence.
That's the interpretation offered. And then there's this mention of a spirit of the waster.
That one sounds familiar, like
Yeah.
you finally save up a bit and poof, the car breaks down or something.
Exactly. It's that feeling, that tendency for resources to just scatter or get lost, even when you're consciously trying to gather and save. There's even a quick anecdote mentioned about a man mistaken for a thief facing these weird negative consequences. It all points, in this view, towards seemingly inexplicable events causing financial setbacks.
Like the spirit orchestrating bad timing or losses, missed contracts, the sudden disasters, that kind of thing.
That seems to be the idea, yes. A series of negative coincidences designed to hinder abundance.
Okay, that's a heavy concept, the spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
Let's shift to the second part. Poverty as a mindset. This feels a bit more tangible, maybe, something within our control.
It definitely feels more direct, yes, and the source really emphasizes this. Even if someone dealt with that spiritual side, a persistent poverty mindset can still hold them back.
So your way of thinking.
Exactly. Limiting beliefs, scarcity thinking. It links back to that proverb, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The mindset is crucial.
And the example used is the spies in the book of Numbers, right?
Yeah. Numbers 13. It's a classic. 12 spies go into Canaan, the promised land.
And they come back with very different reports.
Wildly different. 10 of them saw the same land, flowing with milk and honey, saw the potential. But they focused only on the giants, the fortified cities.
The obstacles.
Right. And their conclusion: we seem like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we look the same to them. Their self-perception, their mindset, completely dictated their reality.
They saw themselves as small, so they assumed defeat. That's powerful.
It really is. And then you have Caleb. Same situation, same giants. But his report: let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it.
Total confidence, a completely different energy.
Completely. Faith versus fear, possibility versus limitation. And you see the outcome in the next chapter. The people cry. They want to go back to Egypt based on the negative report.
While Joshua and Caleb are trying to rally them.
Exactly. It shows how deeply mindset affects not just perception, but actions and destiny.
Yeah. And the source points out some specific beliefs tied to a poverty mindset, like thinking, oh, just give it time, things will get better.
The counterpoint made is that time itself doesn't fix things. Time just reveals the consequences of our choices or lack thereof.
Makes sense. What about the money is the root of all evil idea?
Ah, yes, the classic misquote. The actual verse says the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. It's a crucial difference.
So having a distorted view of money itself can actually block you from managing it well.
That's the suggestion. If you subconsciously think wealth is bad, you might sabotage yourself from obtaining or keeping it. It's about the relationship with money.
Okay. And this poor mindset can lead to certain actions too, right? Like trying to look wealthy when you're not.
Yes, living a false life, maybe for social media or appearances. The source points out this is often way more expensive and stressful than just being authentic.
Keeping up with the Joneses, basically.
Pretty much. And it highlights focusing on internal content, your skills, your character, your value over just the external packaging. Real kingdom wealth, it says, involves being able to give without fear. That comes from abundance thinking.
Not scarcity. You can't give freely if you're constantly worried you won't have enough.
Exactly. And that leads right into the final point from the source. Mindset is the battery that powers your actions.
I like that analogy, the fuel for what you do.
Yeah. Your beliefs and thoughts drive your behavior. A scarcity mindset likely leads to scarcity-driven actions, which, well, often perpetuates the struggle.
Which brings us to the third part. Poverty is a product of actions and activities. This seems like the logical outcome, then.
It flows directly from the mindset, yes. If you think like a grasshopper, you'll act like one. If you believe opportunities are scarce, you might not take risks or invest in growth. Your actions or inactions stem from that core belief system.
So it's a chain reaction. Spirit potentially influencing, mindset shaping belief, and actions creating the result.
That's the framework presented. A spiritual element, a mental state, and practical behaviors, all potentially contributing to financial lack.
It's definitely a multi-layered perspective. It encourages you to look beyond just the bank balance.
It really does. And for anyone listening, it's an invitation to reflect, Yeah. Do any of these dimensions, the potential spiritual hindrances, the limiting beliefs, the resulting actions, resonate with your own experience?
Yeah, just considering these different angles might open up new pathways toward, well, that freedom we talked about at the start, greater abundance.
Exactly. It's a holistic view looking at the internal and maybe even the unseen alongside the practical.
Well, this deep dive into Apostle Selman's framework on poverty has certainly given us a lot to think about. It definitely goes deeper than just budgeting tips.
For sure. It connects the spiritual, the mental, and the practical aspects of our financial lives.
And before we wrap up, we definitely want to thank Business Referred for sponsoring Faith is the Podcast.
Absolutely.
If you're a local business owner out there thinking about advertising, looking for ways to connect with the community, do reach out to them. You can email info@businessreferred.com.
Great opportunity for local businesses.
Yeah. And hopefully, understanding these dynamics we discussed today, these different facets of poverty, can be a step towards more freedom in your life, echoing that initial idea of salvation's liberating power.
Well said.
Thank you all for listening to Faith is the Podcast.